still waiting. We got the phone up here. We got the computer down here. Both on Wi-Fi. Bada bing! We're live. Okay, good. There's the delay on this.
Sure, it is delayed.
It is delayed. Also, it feels like we need to be, our heads need to be higher up on the screen. The higher up our heads on the screen, the more the computer's going to be visible, but that's okay. Hey, everybody.
Hi, Kimberly.
We're sitting directly under the fan this time to counteract the swarms of mosquitoes that like me particularly. And it's also quite windy out here, and we're going to use native phone audio, so I hope it sounds okay. We're going to try to interact with the live chat on the computer since it's hard to see it on the phone. Good to see everyone. Hi, Kimberly. Hey, Matt, Elliot, Susie Q. Fantastic. Great. Oh, good. Sound is fantastic. Good. Bada bing. Okay, well, we put a few things on a notepad to discuss in the video, and we have to start out. We absolutely have to start out with yet another Scientologist being sentenced to prison for crimes. I mean, this is hilarious to me for so many reasons. And it's not because I just want to persecute Scientologists or I like seeing Scientologists persecuted. L. Ron Hubbard, David Miscavige, and Scientology say the only reason people fight Scientology or are critical of Scientology or speak out against Scientology is because they personally have committed crimes in this lifetime for which they could be imprisoned. And they're terrified that Scientology will find out their crimes. They're terrified. They secretly know that Scientology is the only thing that can get to the root of all evil, which is essentially harmful acts, crimes, evil intentions.
Right. Or they want to make less of the thing that the person has committed crimes against.
That's right. You've committed crimes against Scientology. You have to tear down Scientology to
feel better about yourself.
Yeah, alleviate the weight, the burden of having harmed Scientology. And yet you see Scientologists, high-level Scientologists, who've donated millions upon millions of dollars, have been given awards and everything, literally going to prison. Mm-hmm. And what ex-Scientologists do you see going to prison?
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some. But what makes it even sort of funnier for a high-level Scientologist to go to prison is that they're going to prison for crimes they were committing while getting all of their Scientology auditing, while undergoing all of their Scientology interrogations.
Right.
Which means they were lying, they were beating the e-meter, lying to the e-meter the whole time.
Or it was okay because they were donating money to Scientology.
That's right. Maybe they confessed these things and Scientology absolved them of their sins by getting donations from them.
Right, because what's good for Scientology is the greatest good for the greatest number of dynamics. So
yeah, even
though it's illegal, maybe it's like technically not immoral in the eyes of a Scientologist.
That's right. And by the way, I see people saying Happy Mother's Day. I thought Mother's Day was tomorrow.
It is, but maybe they're just saying it early.
Oh, are we sure it's not today?
Yeah, because it's on Sunday.
Okay, good. All right, thank God. You would know.
Yeah.
You would know.
Yeah.
You'd think I would know as well, but you would definitely know.
Yeah, it is on Sunday.
Okay, good.
But I did not know before I booked this trip. I did not realize.
They're saying Jenna's voice is quiet, but that's just because she talks quietly in videos.
I'll talk louder. Sorry.
Yes, project. Okay, so who's going to prison? David Gentilly's going to prison. Now, one of the funny things when David, because this has been being reported on for years, this prosecution's been happening for years, is he has the exact same last name as your aunt, and so people wondered whether this guy was a member of the Miscavige family. Mm-hmm. And it just happens to be spelled exactly the same, but pronounced differently. Mm-hmm. How's your aunt's name said?
Gentile.
Gentile.
Yeah.
And David Gentilly is Gentilly.
Yeah. I mean, seems like he's saying it wrong.
One of these people is mispronouncing their own name. Yeah. So David Gentilly, he's someone who got into Scientology in New York. He ended up also being somewhat of a Clearwater-based Scientologist. He got his nieces and nephews into Scientology. They joined the Sea organization. At least one of David's nieces, for sure, is in the Sea organization in Clearwater, Florida. I really thought one of his nephews was as well, but someone can fact check me on that. David had a business located in downtown Clearwater. He had a condo located in downtown Clearwater. And I'm actually really surprised that Miscavige has allowed his family, his niece, to actually continue to be in the Sea Org. I thought for sure that as soon as he was indicted for federal crimes, that they were going to be like, okay, you need to quietly leave the Sea Org. What are your thoughts on that? Have you seen that happen?
Yeah.
I've seen it go both ways, but what have you seen?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I haven't seen it happen where someone goes to prison. Like, I've seen it where you have to leave if someone in your family leaves Scientology, but not necessarily going to prison.
That's true. Like, I've seen Sea Org members, when their family members started attacking the church,
Right.
been like, okay, you guys got to go.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Or even just go from a certain base. Like, when my parents left Scientology, they were like, you can't be at Flag, at Clearwater anymore. I can't talk any louder than that.
Sure
And
you
look at
can.
them. Well, I
Oh.
can't. Yeah.
Just shout at me. Just shout at me.
Okay.
You know, I'll try to, if I talk quietly, maybe it'll even this out.
Okay. Yeah.
So when your parents left the Sea Org, but your parents never attacked.
No, but they saw it as like they potentially were going to all the time.
Oh.
Yeah, so they were like checking all the mail that came to me, and they had sent them to Mexico so that they like wouldn't be able to be found by reporters and stuff like that. They're really worried about it.
And so they said, okay, you can't be at INT anymore. You've got to go to LA.
I couldn't be at Flag and I couldn't be at INT.
Right.
Yeah, either one.
Right.
Yeah.
So Jeffrey Augustine on his blog, Scientology Money Project, did a whole blog post about the sentencing of David Gentilly and his partner in crime, Jeffrey Schneider. I don't believe Jeffrey Schneider was a Scientologist, but just David Gentilly. It says, GBP Capital Holdings founder and owner David Gentilly, 59, was today sentenced to 7 years in the Brooklyn Federal Court. His co-conspirator, Jeffrey Schneider, was sentenced to 6 years. This is actually an outrageously low sentence in which the judge disregarded the sentencing guidelines. The government asked for 15 years in prison. The sentencing guidelines were calculated at 1,020 months. I don't know how many years 1,020 months is. Let me do the math on that real quick. 1020 divided by 12. 85 years. Jesus. Okay. So, it says of the $1.8 billion that had been raised by GBP Capital, 1.1 billion was recovered when the assets were sold off under the guidance of Monitor, blah, 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 blah. Interesting. Okay, so a Scientologist managed to disappear $700 million of investor money and is going to prison for 7 years. I don't know how it works in federal when you get sentenced federally. Like, is he going to serve all 7 years? I'm just asking out loud because I don't know. Guys in the live chat, for anyone who knows this, is he absolutely going to serve 7 years? Is that how it works in the federal system, or is he going to be up for parole in like 3.5 years? I'll try to keep an eye on the live chat for the answer. And you know what? No word of David Gentilly being declared a suppressive person and being expelled from Scientology
Right.
for committing massive hundreds of millions of dollars of federal crimes and going to prison.
Yeah, and technically, if he was declared a suppressive person, his kids would have to be kicked out of the Sea Org.
His kids aren't in the Sea Org, it's his niece. It's his,
His niece, okay. But
Yeah.
even so, like,
or they'd have to disconnect.
right, yeah.
I feel like it would be so potentially inflammatory that if I were in charge, I'd be like, yeah, you guys just need to quietly leave the Sea Org. We don't need any of this smoke.
Yeah, right.
But imagine that. You've got Scientologists being expelled from Scientology for speaking to family members Scientology doesn't like. But you don't get expelled from Scientology for disappearing $700 million of investor capital.
Right.
In Danny Masterson's case, you don't get expelled from Scientology for violently raping many women.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's interesting. We were talking about that the other day, how like ex-members are worse than treated worse by Scientology than people who are never in.
Right.
Yeah. Like, even if you dedicated your whole life to it since you were a child and, like, gave up so much for it, it's like you're like the most worthless, evil person because you left.
That's right. That's right. We were talking about that. So, like, even someone who was born and raised in the organization, spent at least half their life working to accomplish the aims of the organization.
Right.
If you then leave, you're now, like, worse than someone who's never even been in Scientology.
Yes, yeah. And even at its best, you're a freeloader.
Right.
Which is crazy.
That's right.
It's like you work, like, how many hours a week?
Yeah.
And you're a freeloader. Like, since you're a child, you're considered a freeloader.
You no good freeloader. Yeah. It's incredible. So, like, another high level, this has been years ago now, but did you ever know Rex Fowler or Alex Fowler?
No.
So, Rex Fowler was an OT8 Scientologist who had gotten into a conflict with his business partner who was not a Scientologist. Because Rex was pulling out tons of money from the company and giving it to Scientology. And there was some conflict that they had. Rex literally brought a gun to work and shot his partner dead in the head.
Oh my God.
And is in prison for murder 1 right now.
Oh my God.
OT8.
Wow.
His son Alex was in the Sea Org with me at our show.
Wow.
It's like, what? How does that happen? Like, you go, like, and I've seen people talk about, when things like that happen, I've seen people use Scientology's language, like, to terminatedly handle a situation. Well, of course, terminate sounds like exterminate, sounds like execute.
Yeah, yeah.
And there are people who are under the impression that a Scientologist would be like, that's how you terminatedly handle a situation. And that's obviously not true.
Yeah.
So, but you go like, but did he have a mental breakdown? Like,
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, since you're not allowed to sue other Scientologists, I think a lot of times they have the wise arbitration that they have to go through. Because Dallas, my ex-husband's father, and his business partner, Leo Hamill, when they were breaking up the business, they had to go through wise arbitration. It was horrible. It was horrible. And they were just like using this ridiculous Scientology technology. It wasn't resolving anything. Like, they would have just been better off coming to their own agreement, and it just made the whole thing worse. And they were even like, oh, well, you guys are employing ex-Sea Org members, me and Dallas, and it's just interesting because going through that arbitration can actually just make things worse. In the end, the what is it called? Arbitrator?
The arbiter.
Arbiter. They're just looking out for.
Or actually, there was a point in the wise world where they had to acknowledge that there was no L. Ron Hubbard reference on arbitration, and they canceled all arbitrations, and then they switched it to mediations.
Oh yeah, that's what it was too. Yeah.
But there's no reference on mediations either. So I'm only mentioning that because the word we're probably looking for is mediator.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It is. Yeah, yeah. But they were doing like a third-party investigation.
You're the third party.
I was. And then they're like, you're employing ex-Sea Org members, but it was all like the mediator was doing it based on what was best for Scientology, not what's fair to the two people. It's like, which of you is going to give more money to Scientology will favor you.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because now all you have is one Scientologist who's being the sole decider of what these two people have to do.
Yeah.
Because they're not allowed to sue each other.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But then technically one of those people could just go to the mediator and be like, yeah, fuck you, I don't care about your findings. What are you going to do, sue me?
Yeah, right, yeah.
I mean, right? You still can't sue each other.
No.
You just get in a lot of trouble.
That's right. Like, either one of them would have risked losing their family, like, who were Scientologists.
Right.
Yeah, so in the same way that we were working there, like, I don't know, Dallas's brother could have been like, if your dad keeps doing this, you're going to be kicked out of Scientology.
Right.
Just like he was being pressured for me and Dallas working there.
Yeah.
So, or Leo could have been pressured on his side, all of the friends that he had in Scientology, so they both risk losing things.
Right. Now, in the case of Rex Fowler, because his business partner was not a Scientologist, they could have ended up suing each other. But I feel like if Rex's I feel like Rex would never have sued his partner because Rex was the one that was in the wrong. And also that lawsuit would have just dragged Scientology into the courts.
Right.
Because the source of the conflict was Russ taking all the money out of the company and giving it to Rex, giving all the money to Scientology.
Oh, wow.
And so...
I mean, the havoc that Scientology wreaks on companies, like even like Aaron Cairo.
Oh, yeah.
And this company, and even like, I just hear from people like at Leo Hamill Company, there was like, people had to do conditions and write overts and withholds, and it was like, people left just because of that. It's just crazy.
They were making employees write down overts and withholds?
Yes.
Oh
and do conditions.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And org board.
In the Wise consulting company that I went to work for after leaving the Sea Org, Measurable Solutions, that's actually what led to me quitting the company. Is they had a policy about being assigned lower conditions. And then when you were assigned lower conditions, you got a 20% pay cut.
Wow.
And your pay system was already based like an org on a percentage of the corrected gross income.
Oh, wow. Okay.
On a unit system.
Yeah.
At a privately owned company. And they're literally saying, and also it's not like you can argue whether you're assigned a lower condition or not.
Right. Well, you either get fired or...
Right.
Yeah.
And so I was being assigned a lower condition for having taken a vacation day. In other words, you vest your vacation days after you've been there for a year. And I was taking a vacation like 3 weeks before my year was up. Anyway, I had gotten permission from my direct senior to do something or other, and then I did it, and then I came back, and the CEO had a problem with it. And I was being assigned a lower condition, and then told I was going to get a 20% pay cut. And I was told, my senior actually was like, look, I'm gonna sort this out, don't worry. She went to try to sort it out, came back, she's like, my hands are tied. You can either accept the lower condition or you can quit. I said, those are my two choices? She said, yeah. I said, oh, okay. I quit. And I packed everything up and I walked out the fucking door.
Wow.
I was their highest producing consultant. And I was like, oh, so this is a company where you don't value people that do good work and make money for the company?
Right.
Bye.
Yeah, right.
Bye.
Yeah, good for you.
I did that with no safety net.
Yeah.
With 2 kids at home and a wife. I was like, guess what? I don't have a job.
Wow.
But it actually led to much better things. So yeah, privately owned Scientology companies trying to run their businesses like orgs wreaks so much havoc.
Yes, yeah, it really does. I mean, even like this therapist that I had for a period of time, she knew about Scientology because her mom had worked at a dental company where they were like making them do certain courses. And even Leo Hamill Company got sued for making like people who worked there, like people who worked there, they would have to do the learning how to learn course. There was like a little supervisor, and like Paul Schoenwolf. Yeah.
I remember him.
I don't know why the wolf got dropped.
I think him and his wife decided to share their names. So she's Anya Wolf, he's Paul Schoden.
I see. Okay.
So he was Paul Schoenwolf and Anya Schoenwolf.
Oh, okay.
But his name's Paul Schoden. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know he went back to just Paul Schoden.
Yeah, he did. Well, he was married to someone else.
He worked at Leo Hamill?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and so he tried to audit me a few times. And it was because he thought that's what was best for me. He was trying to save me, and he was like, "God, she can't be saved. She's too." But it was like coming out of Scientology into that, and then only like one person sued them. Everyone else there, who's totally like a non-Scientologist, they were doing OW write-ups.
Oh my God. Guys, for anyone watching, this doesn't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
In Scientology, doing an OW write-up, O stands for overt, W stands for withhold. An overt is a harmful thing that you've done, and a withhold is a time that you kept it a secret from someone.
Right.
So that means your employer is asking you to sit down and write down in writing on paper bad things you've done. It's like a confessional. It's like if you were going to a priest to confess your sins, but your priest was your boss at work and you were writing the shit down on paper. Time, place, form, and event.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. And writing reports.
Oh my God.
Like, I mean, think of how destructive knowledge reports are.
Yeah. Look,
Where-
the mosquitoes are circling. They love me.
Thankfully,
Go ahead.
you're here to save me from them.
I'll distract them from you.
But how much, like, if someone's writing a report, like basically narking on you at work, like what kind of team morale and loyalty and teamwork does that create?
I know. I have never heard of a privately owned Scientologist company using an auditor on its staff.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was just doing that for me because, like, he wasn't auditing other people. That was
like,
just
Paul, we got a special project for you.
Yeah, I think Paul thought that. No, I think it was Paul's idea. He thought that he could save me during work time.
Okay, but was Paul's job for the company to audit people, or he just happened to be a trained
he was
auditor?
like the basically like
He was
the-
HR, human resources.
Yes,
Oh.
but no, he was like the HES.
The H.
So there was divisions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
He's
was,
still over HR though, like
yeah,
the senior
exactly,
HR manager.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow, incredible. Yeah, so we got off onto that from Rex Fowler shooting his partner in the head.
Oh right.
Trigger warning. And who was another Scientologist that went to prison? A woman who was actually the director of processing under me at ASHO for a little bit
Mm-hmm.
was also just sentenced to prison.
Oh.
Her name was like Devin.
Oh.
I think she was like a literal criminal in Las Vegas. I
Oh.
forget. I saw this reported on a few weeks ago,
Hmm.
and ex-Sea Org member.
Wow. There are a lot of characters in Scientology.
Yeah.
Like everyone is like a character.
Yeah, ex-Sea Org member, but not ex-Scientologist. Like she was still in Scientology.
Wow.
I think her son had even murdered someone, and she was like complicit in it. I'm telling you, man, these people are crazy. On a per capita basis, I feel like there's more complete mental breakdowns and murders and suicides, trigger warning, in Scientology than any other group. That's based on no facts whatsoever or statistics. But realize, guys, there's only like 20,000 Scientologists in the entire fucking world,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And they all know each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the most part.
But also remember, Scientology unironically calls itself the most ethical group on the planet.
Right.
What did that mean to you when you were in Scientology?
It was a little bit confusing, or like how the goal of the Sea Org is to put ethics in on the planet.
Right.
I was like, what does that mean? Like make everyone.
Gotcha. Look.
Oh my god.
Blood and everything.
Oh my god, show it.
No.
Ew.
Why?
Okay, fine.
Ew.
That was.
I thought they really couldn't
disgusting.
get us under the fan. I really thought they couldn't get us under the fan.
I don't think they can unless you're here.
Jeez,
There's something
Louise.
about you.
This is unbelievable. It's my blood type.
Yeah.
It really
What
is.
is your
They're-
blood type?
I mean, I don't know. It's the one that mosquitoes like.
Okay. Yeah, I remember being like, to put ethics in on this planet, I was like, to make everyone be abstinent? I was like, what exactly does this entail? Well, like in the Sea Org, out 2D is like the worst thing you can do. So I was like, what does put ethics in on the planet even mean?
Cock blocking on a planetary scale. I see you over there.
Yeah, well, like, what does it mean? Like, get rid of criminality? And then I was also like, well, what programs, like, doesn't it seem like then all of Scientology would be Criminon or something, you know?
Yelling trigger warning in relation to a story about a shooting.
After the fact.
Well, get it? Trigger.
Oh, I get it.
Okay, what we're talking about? Cock blocking?
Yeah.
What is it? What did we think it meant to put in being the most ethical group in the world, putting in ethics on the planet?
Yeah, it was one of those things that I was like, never really sure what it meant.
It's
like
true.
clearing the planet. Like I never really understood what that meant.
So I had a clear idea of what I thought clearing the planet meant. But even in the Sea Org, the idea of putting in ethics on the planet is something that did not make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're wondering what we're talking about, like the Sea Org, L. Ron Hubbard says the purpose of the Sea Org is not to clear the planet. That might be the purpose of Scientology.
Right.
The purpose of the Sea Org is to put in ethics on the planet so that you can then put in tech, so that you can then put in admin. But how is the Sea Org putting in ethics on anyone other than Scientologists?
Yeah, and it's not like that's its sole job. That's what makes no sense.
Yeah, there's no one in the Sea Org whose job it is to put in ethics on the planet. So how could it be the purpose of the Sea Org?
Exactly.
Even a
It
Sea
makes
Org
no
ethics
sense.
officer is only putting in ethics on Sea Org members and some higher level Scientology public.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't make sense. That wasn't the job of the Sea Org.
Maybe that's why we failed as Sea Org members.
Yeah.
We
and,
never understood it.
And clearing the planet, like to what was that to you?
Oh, to me that was obvious. That was just at least half the people in the world had to get into Scientology and be clear. And then they would talk about the theta and theta ratio tipping, and so it would almost be like, yeah.
Exponential.
Well, something. It didn't. That part was a little unclear.
Yeah.
No pun intended. And
See, but it seemed like people just being clear, because I knew many people who were clear and they were like just the same as the next person. They didn't have any special powers. They weren't particularly ethical. There wasn't anything about them. So it seemed like that for the goal to be clearing the planet, like that wasn't really, like we wouldn't be done with the planet. What
Yeah.
about OTing the planet?
Okay, for any ex-Sea Org members, or honestly, even ex-Scientologists,
Yeah.
what did it mean to you? What did you think it meant that the purpose of the Sea Org is putting in ethics on the planet? And what did it mean to you? What did clearing the planet mean to you?
Yeah, because then also bringing everything to native state was really confusing to me too. Like in my mind, it was like the sky was pink. I don't know why, and like we were just like zooming around as Thetans, and I was like, that doesn't sound that appealing to me. Like I don't want to just be zooming around as a Thetan. Like I want to like go to the movies or have a car or like go shopping. Or
You're like, this native state thing sounds terrible. I have to sabotage this.
yeah, I was like, it sounds boring. I was like, is there cute houses in native state? Like, I don't really.
So,
That's why I feel like it was dude oriented. Like,
that's funny though. That's right.
Yeah.
You've mentioned that to me before.
yeah,
So, guys, native state, for anyone new to the phrase here, is in Scientology. They believe that natively, before we created the physical universe, before we were stuck in bodies, before we were here on Earth, that natively we were all these God-like, infinitely powerful, immortal spiritual beings that existed totally just independently of even the physical universe. There was no physical universe. Like, there wasn't a thing. We hadn't created it yet. And so L. Ron Hubbard would sometimes talk about the theta universe and the physical universe. I'm just going to skip the word mess. And that the theta universe is just the universes of Thetans, which
Yeah.
is what he calls all of us spiritual beings as Thetans. And so the goal of Scientology auditing is to get back to native state. Take it back to this infinite godlike spiritual level where you exist completely independent of the physical universe, independent of bodies. And the first time you told me, you're like, wow, that sounds really miserable. Like, I want pink dresses, and I want
yeah,
flowers, and I want all this stuff. It never occurred to me that someone would be like, oh, native state sounds terrible.
yeah. Because even they use examples like the powers you have. They're like, you can create universes at will, which I guess that's fine. They're like, you can explode planets. I was like, no thanks. I've never once, like, that's not on my list.
That appeals to dudes.
Like
that,
it-
I want to blow up planets.
Exactly. It's
Let's
like
blow
a
up the
comic
planet.
book. Yeah.
It's like going outside and shooting watermelons.
Yeah, it wasn't like there was nothing like nice or like romantic or sweet about it. It was like you can't even eat the best food because you don't care about food anymore because you don't have a body.
But you
Because
see,
you
you
don't
could be
have a
like,
stomach.
my man created a whole planet for me. My
Yeah.
man created the physical universe for me, my own physical universe.
But there's no men and women. You're like,
Well, that's true. If you're in native state, there's no genders, there's no bodies,
there's no children.
Oh.
Like there's no, everyone's just the same. There's no baby goats.
See, I never thought about it that deeply.
Yeah, I did.
There's a lot of baby goats out here in Hawaii. That's why she's talking about baby goats. There's baby goats running
it
around all the streets. It's like they're running around here like deer.
Yeah, they're really
Like,
cute.
instead of hitting deer, you're gonna hit a baby goat. I had to hit the brakes. I had to hit the brakes a couple days ago to avoid a goat. Yes. Now in native state though, there's no mosquitoes, so that's enough. That's almost enough for me to rejoin Scientology if they come out with OT 9 and 10. if OT 9 and 10 comes with a no mosquito guarantee, I might go back. Yeah. Look, it's right there. The fan is blasting on us, and somehow these creatures still manage to.
Yeah, and I was out here earlier, and they were not here.
It's
literally
me.
because of you.
It's me, and that's why I stay inside most of the time. A cute pumpkin cloudhopper says no mosquitoes in Ireland. Looks like we're going to Ireland. How do we get to talking about all the native state stuff? Oh, putting in ethics on the planet.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, right. And yet in the Sea Org, you have people getting in trouble for all the like. There's no like. It's just this is pure propaganda. I guess Scientology is not the only place where you can just find propaganda with literally no evidence that it's true.
Right. Yeah.
But
or
they're just
find hypocrisy.
Yeah, they're just so thoroughly convinced of their moral superiority.
Right. Yeah.
And their general supremacy.
Yeah.
In everything.
Yeah.
You know.
That is a hallmark of being a Scientologist.
Yeah.
Is arrogance.
Yeah.
And thinking that you're better than the rest of the world. And some people, when they leave, they're not ready to lose that aspect of it.
Yeah, and when I was still in, if someone had said that to me, like, wow, you guys are really arrogant, I wonder how I would have received that. I probably would have been like, well, if you look at it this way, you look at it that way, if you want to call that arrogance, then sure. It's but the fact that we have personal reality on how being 100% confident that your answers are the right answers, that your path is the right path, that your guy, I was going to say your God, but in Scientology's case, just your guy is the right guy from which all true information comes.
Right.
The fact that we've traveled that path and have a reality on what that's like is why it is impossible for me to take seriously people who have their own belief systems and feel that way about them. You know, like I don't consider myself to be anti-religious in general.
Right.
Like I don't necessarily think less of religious people.
Right, right.
In general.
Right, right.
But on an individual basis, if someone is so convinced their book is the right book, their stories are the true stories, their leader is the good leader, I kind of go, you know this story's been written 1,000 times, right? You know there's 1,000 people, different groups who think their group is the right group, their book is the right book, their story is the right story, their belief is like, because we've traveled that path, I can't take any other path seriously.
Right, totally.
And
same.
Yeah.
Totally same here. Yeah, it's funny, I was talking with like Dallas about this. This probably isn't even a good thing to bring up, but anyway, it's not gonna stop me. Well, he was talking about how like he was talking to like someone who he worked with who was a really nice person, and he was doing something on the weekend that was for his church, and it's almost like and if he had been talking to somebody else who wasn't Dallas, it'd be like, oh yeah, I'll help you out with this or whatever. But I would almost feel a little bit guilty helping somebody with a church project or like to put their church out there.
Because why?
Just in case it was like deceiving people. Yeah. I really shouldn't have said that. But anyways, I'm not saying that's how it is. I'm just saying like.
Well, yeah. I mean, but it's interesting. I'm just kind of thinking out loud, right? Because I don't think less of religious people at all.
I don't either. I mean, they're also some of the nicest, like, most loving people.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
I guess the thing that, and I don't even know what the right phrase would be, because think less of is not the right phrase.
Yeah.
When I see that someone is so convinced that their thing is the uniquely, especially good, true thing, I kind of go, come on now.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's just do the math on this.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, of course I know.
But then to a religious person, it's going to sound like, well, you sound anti-religious. And I go, no, but I don't, I'm not.
Yeah, yeah.
I really don't think I am.
Yeah. It's just not for you.
Well, it's for sure not for me.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be talking them about doing the math. I would just be like, oh.
That's just how I think to myself.
I know, yeah, yeah. We all think that to ourselves.
Yeah.
But some people do take it as far, certain individuals who I've known. sit there, like, make a point to argue with everybody. It's like, what are you doing? Like, just no, just stop.
I mean, there's a surprising number of ex-Scientologists who have become pretty diehard Christians,
Yeah.
and I can't help but wonder how that's possible.
I can't. Yeah, I can't.
But again, it sounds like I'm talking shit about it. And
Yeah.
and it's funny because in those cases I am.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that way about Christians in general.
That's true. We're like the same. We're like the ex-Scientologists are worse than the never-ends. But I kind of feel the same too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can see if I was, you know, a dedicated Christian, I'd be like, it sure sounds like you're against religion,
Right.
and I don't think I am.
Yeah.
I don't think the world would be a better place if people weren't religious.
Right, yeah. And that's also not possible. This
What's
is
not
obviously the world not being religious.
Well,
It
it doesn't-
obviously satisfies something that humans need.
Sure.
Because there's so many religions, it gives something that people need.
For sure.
What exactly that is, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's people need it.
Well, and for most people, it's a positive force, not a destructive force.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a community and
Yeah.
whatever. I just think that, yeah, but it is interesting because I've like talked, like I remember this one gal I met at the fabric store and she was like, I was there with my kids and she was like, make sure, she was like, you know, if they're going to grow up so fast, my one suggestion is that you teach them about the Lord. And I was like, oh. And then she was like, yeah, I mean, otherwise what's to stop them from murdering someone? And I was like, I was like,
Well, there are a lot of people who believe the only basis of morality is what's in the Bible or something.
yeah.
And I just go,
No.
my response to that would be, so you're telling me that you are fundamentally, without someone else coming and telling you what is right or wrong, you are fundamentally incapable of having your own sense of morality and humanity. Like, it sounds like you hate yourself if you say something like that. Well, it sounds like you have a pretty low opinion of humans in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have no urge to like murder anybody.
Well,
Like-
sometimes you do.
Yeah, that's true. But that's not what stops me. But and also I wouldn't actually like murder them. I
Exactly.
would just ruin their whole life.
Exactly. It's okay. It's okay to have urges.
Yeah. Yeah, but I just thought that was interesting because I guess that's a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
But Scientologists are convinced that their answer is the true answer. And anything that serves Scientology is ethical.
yeah.
And I bet Rex Fowler thought, I mean, I'm giving him a lot of credit here. He might have had a complete psychotic breakdown. But he might have thought that removing somehow his partner was somehow posing some threat to Scientology. Maybe he had threatened to do something or whatever.
Right.
Maybe he was
yeah.
talking to the press about, who knows, like, I'm just making stuff up here, right? But there's always a possibility that Rex thought that taking this one life and going to prison for a long time was somehow going to be a net positive for Scientology, and therefore it was ethical.
Right. Yeah.
Because that is how Scientologists think.
Yeah, like that's the same thought process behind fair game.
Yeah.
You know, that it's okay as long as it's in the name of Scientology. It's also why like I remember when I left Scientology and I spoke to one of my friends on the phone who was calling me on the down low, and I was like, well, what if you knew that David Miscavige was beating staff members? David Miscavige, the leader of Scientology. And he was like, well, I would have to assume that it was for the greatest good, for the greatest number of dynamics. So it was almost like I wanted him to hear himself say that. Now I don't think that it did anything, but it basically just meant that he would excuse anything wrong with the fact that it's somehow good for Scientology and wouldn't be able to see reality.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. Oh, that's right. We got onto that because I was saying a surprising number of ex-Scientologists do become Christian. And I have asked myself, how is that possible? But maybe I haven't spent enough time thinking about.
yeah, and you know what, I could see if you're like an older ex-Scientologist, like you leave when you're older and you you maybe feel like you've like thrown out your whole life devoting yourself to this. What's so funny?
I can't even imagine what you're about to say.
Well, that like you feel like you need to belong to something, like you have your whole life. Like you're like, I can't go back to just like being just me in the world. Like I need to belong to something bigger because you've gone through your whole life thinking you're a part of something really important and belonging, and you had the right way of thinking, and it's just, you can't not have that. You can't just like go cold turkey, which is hard actually, to like have all these beliefs and think that if you do certain things you'll get certain results, and then it's like, nope, the world can still get you even if you're bad or good or whatever.
Yeah, I can see that. Luckily for me, and probably us both, being a part of something was never a reason that I felt was keeping me in Scientology.
Yeah, I can see, like,
it was trying not to lose everything I'd ever had, but it wasn't, oh, I want a sense of belonging. It wasn't that.
right, it wasn't I want a sense of belonging for me either, but I did grow up in a way where I always had 7 people in a room who lived with me. And I always was in a classroom full of 100 people, or I had 10 people at the table with me. So it wasn't like I need a sense of belonging, but it actually was weird and a little bit like even at Christmas right now, it's like what I associate with Christmas is having like a lot of hundreds of people there, and when it's just like one family or whatever, it just feels small. So yeah, maybe that's something that like, it's not like I have to belong to something, but it does feel weird when you always did belong to something and then now you don't.
Yeah, totally. What is going on? God, people in the chat are such weirdos. Not people, specific people. Yeah. I'm gonna time this person out. How annoying. You're going in a timeout. Baby's going in a corner. Yeah, I'm fidgeting because I'm ignoring all the goddamn mosquitoes. Or avoiding all mosquitoes. We love all you weirdos. All right, there was something else. There's a whole bunch of things. We're just sort of chilling, and everyone else is out watching a musical performance today, and we decided to stay back and relax. So we're having a nice casual chat. We mentioned about harassing. Fair game. We mentioned the fair game policy a moment ago. Okay, so one of the latest and greatest and content that the YouTube audience, but especially the TikTok audience, you guys, is going absolutely crazy about is my videos with Pat Harney, who works in the Office of Special Affairs, and she sits at the Welcome Center. I think I'm taking up more of the screen space than you. She sits at the desk of the Welcome Center.
I think that it's equal.
Oh, okay. She sits at the desk of the Welcome Center, and I mean, guys, on TikTok, these videos have millions and millions of views. They actually don't have that many views on YouTube, but on TikTok, it's going absolutely insane. TikTok's,
is it growing up in Scientology on TikTok?
I think it's just Smith-Levin.
Oh, okay.
I'm just Smith-Levin on TikTok. And it's funny how some people think, oh, it's just this nice little old lady sitting at a reception desk, like, you know, she's probably not even a Sea Org member. And I mean, 99.9% of the people think it's absolutely amazing content. And some of them are like, why are you harassing that old lady?
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk about who Pat Harney actually is and why she's sitting at that desk. Pat Harney is a senior Scientology official working in the Office of Special Affairs.
That's right.
And that's actually why she's at that desk. That Welcome Center is not just any normal Welcome Center. Let's keep in mind that that's the Flagland base. That's the highest level, biggest Scientology organization in the world.
Right.
And that office that they're calling the Welcome Center is actually the offices of the Office of Special Affairs.
That's right.
That's
yeah.
OSA. And OSA is responsible for attacking critics, attacking ex-Scientologists These are the people who are going through your trash. They're calling your neighbors. They're calling your employers. They're calling your friends. They're calling your family. They're using fake social media accounts. They're
to stalk Scientologists to make sure they're not talking to family members who left Scientology. They're literally like policing people in the most disgusting ways. Pat Harney worked in OSA when I was there, so she's worked there for like 25 years or more.
She's been there for generations.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the videos on my channel is a video of the then president of Scientology, Heber Jensch, on the Phil Donahue show. And who is on the show with Heber but Pat Harney? This has got to be 40 years ago. And Pat Harney, I think on the show, introduced herself as the director of public affairs of the Washington, D.C. organization. And I'm like, wow. Right. She was OSA at the D.C. org.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why Pat also doesn't run away when you talk about Xenu. It's because, people in OSA, they know about all this stuff. And, like, they're, like, if someone in Scientology hears about it from an outside protester, they would go to someone in OSA, and OSA would tell them, oh, that's not really true. They're changing the facts. L. Ron Hubbard is really a great man. So they like kind of cover up and lie for Scientology, even to internal members.
Yeah.
And when I was in Clearwater as a Sea Org member at the base-wide briefings, which they had every week, there was this time period after Lisa McPherson died where there would be protesters outside, and people from OSA, including Pat, would come and brief the crew about how they would go outside and like argue with the protesters, and then like maybe a protester would touch them and they would laugh so hard because they would be like, and then I threw myself back and fell on the ground and called the police, like basically make it look like a protester was like abusing them or like attacking them.
Right.
And they would just like be laughing so hard about how they acted this whole thing out, and that person got arrested or whatever.
Yeah. And that is it's a really great point that you made that explains the distinction between this welcome center in Clearwater and the test center on Hollywood Boulevard. Because whenever a protester walks up to the test center, they press the automatic door closing button and the door closes and the recruiters run inside and all this stuff. The Sea Org members who work at the test center on Hollywood Boulevard are not members of OSA.
That's right.
They don't work for the Office of Special Affairs.
That's right.
They work in Division 6 of the Los Angeles organization on L. Ron Hubbard Way.
Right.
Those people aren't allowed to hear about Xenu.
Right. Or even other bad things about Scientology or L. Ron Hubbard.
Yes.
Where Pat knows everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people in OSA are the ones who have been tasked with being the front lines engaging with the negative information about Scientology in the real world.
That's right. And
And
they
the
have
SPs.
counter stories to be like, oh, that's not really true.
Yeah. And so it makes me wonder if they will ever invest the money to install an automatic door closer at the Welcome Center in downtown Clearwater, or if they're like, nah, we don't care because it's OSA.
I think they will.
You think eventually they will?
Yeah, because the
It's great content.
with Pat gets good views. Yeah. They don't want to give that to you. It's worth a couple $1,000. Yeah.
I will declare victory once they install the automatic door closers, but I will not stop going to the building. Because that'll be even more fun. Like, people are just blown away by the fact that no matter, as I'm standing there, and I don't even enter the building, I just stand right outside the door, I'm outside the building, that she just has to sit there and listen to everything I say, and she doesn't run away, and she doesn't close the doors, and I'm like, well, she can't run away, she's OSA.
Yeah.
Where is she, like,
yeah.
was she going to abandon the desk?
Yeah, exactly.
I do wonder why she doesn't get up, walk over to me, and say, you're trespassing, and close the doors. I do wonder that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure she will the next time you go there.
I also get the sense that she gets in trouble for not trying to cut me off sooner. Like, she sort of sits there and listens to me, and then eventually she's like, uh-oh, I have to say something. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. She's like, I gotta act like I'm fighting against this. It's sort of like when you're in the Sea Org and it's like, I'll think of a better example. But it's like you have to rebel against certain things, even though it's like, or it's like when you have to recruit everybody who you're around into Scientology, but you really don't want to. Like your family members, if you have like your one vacation a year, it's like you have to recruit people, but you really don't want to. But you have to you don't want to have to get it off or report yourself in a confessional saying that you didn't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Explaining Pat's role in Scientology and that she works for OSA is something that seemed relevant because to us it is so comical that she would sit there behind that desk and say to me, "You're harassing me, Erin. You're harassing me."
Right.
It's like, bitch, you work for OSA.
Exactly.
No one can harass you. You are the harasser.
That's right. Yes. And it's so I worked there when I was 12.
Yeah.
With no parents there for years.
Yeah.
And so the idea that this woman, and so did Erin.
Yeah.
Erin was there when he was 12 years old, working for Scientology.
By the time I got to Flag, I was probably 13. So
Yeah.
13 years old, 14 years old, 15, at least 3 years of my adolescent life as a child was spent working on that base.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like when even Grant Cardone tries to be a religious bigot. It's like, no. We worked there when we were children.
Yeah.
It's not just some big bad guy who's harassing you.
Yeah.
You were an older person
You
working
were
there,
here.
seeing little kids running around, doing slave labor, and know all about it.
Yeah.
And know all about the bad press about it.
Such a good point.
And acting
oh my
like
God.
a victim.
It didn't even quite cross my mind that way.
Yeah, well, it's easy for people to be like, oh, he's a big man, but it's like, no.
Yeah, it's like she was here as an adult working at OSA when we as children were working 120 hours a week and not just studying courses, because I was on work study.
Right.
I was on work study.
Yeah.
I was working in the hotels. I was working in the restaurants. I was working doing demolition. I was doing HVAC. We were moving apartments.
Right.
As a child.
Exactly. I was ironing the clothes of all the executives, bringing snacks, cleaning their rooms.
Yeah.
We were maids.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's interesting because now she just looks like a poor old lady, and I'm this big old scary guy, and it looks like I'm harassing her. It's like, no, it's just everything's come full circle now.
Yeah, and it's such a manipulation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also just hilarious to be able to troll her this way, and all she can do is be like, "You're harassing me, Erin."
Yeah, but I feel like she's using it for that reason.
She is.
You're harassing me, and that
She totally is.
that pisses me off.
Yeah.
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 It's a manipulation as a woman, as an old, it's totally manipulative. It's not how it is.
Completely. Do you also happen to think that it's manipulative that for some reason they have chosen to take pretty much the only two Black Sea Org members, Amber and Pat, and have them be the receptionists at this place? Literally two of the only Black women in the Sea Org ever. They happen to be on the front lines to make them. I have always felt that was intentional. And Twilla.
Yeah.
I have always felt that was
Black,
intentional.
So.
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, you can't get in trouble for it.
Get in trouble for what?
Because he's not if we go harass her, they can be like, oh, they're marginalizing them or doing that because
picking on someone because they're Black.
Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't that what you were saying?
Well, no, I feel like they're intentionally if there's only two Black women working on the entire Flagland base, I just feel like they're somehow being manipulative by intentionally having those two women be the ones to man the front desk at the reception center.
Yeah.
Not as some sort of a gesture towards ex-Scientologists who would go there, but to the public in general.
I see. Okay, to virtue signaling.
Almost like those two people are not representative of any of the organization, but they're intentionally doing that to make it look like it is.
I see. Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I was like, it's a little bit of a coincidence that both Amber and Pat are the only two people who man the front desk of that center.
Yeah.
I can't think of another Black woman in the Sea Org.
Right.
In Flag.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's at least two.
Amber has a sister.
Amber has
Jasmine.
Oh yeah.
She was the MAA.
Amber has a brother named Aaron.
Oh yeah, that's right. But he wasn't in the Sea Org when I was there, but maybe.
No, but we worked at the same company after the Sea Org, and we went to the same jiu-jitsu gym.
Oh.
And once he saw me for the first time, he never came back.
Oh.
He was the high-level belt. He was like a brown belt.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, we're getting off onto so many fun tangents. Oh well, her being manipulative by being like, Erin, you're harassing me. Yeah, I feel like they're going to take that video to the Clearwater police and try to get a restraining order from like, look, this big angry white man keeps harassing this poor little black woman.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I think it's like totally a manipulation.
Yeah, but that's also why in my videos, she's in on it. Meaning it's not me insulting her. It's like, hey Pat, I'm glad we're working together to figure out how to get out of these contracts.
Right.
I spoke, you speak to Elon and Tom, I'll speak to Grant.
Yeah.
So I'm not actually directing anything negative at her.
Right, yeah, totally, yeah.
Right.
We thought of Pat yesterday because it was like 525,000.
The Rent song.
Yeah.
So we probably have a lot of musical theater nerds in the chat, I hope. We were listening for some reason. Oh, because we were on a road trip yesterday.
Yeah.
Because we went to Mount Kilauea, the Kilauea volcano.
Yeah.
We went to go find out where our body thetans got blown up. In the anniversary of Dianetics, of Dianetics yesterday, May 9th, was the anniversary of Dianetics. So we went to the volcano that's been erupting because we wanted to see where we got blown up with the hydrogen bombs a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so we needed music for the road trip. And someone put on Rent. And we figured we have to figure out how to take this song and apply it to the Sea Org contract.
Well,
how do you measure 1 billion? I'm not going to sing. Go ahead, you sing.
Well, no, but because you say with Pat, you're always like, so Pat, we have
999,999,950 years left.
Yeah, so it's like
and that's
525,600 minutes. And it made me think of that.
How do you measure the course of a billion years?
Exactly. Yeah.
I should just walk up to the door and just bust out into song.
Exactly.
And then you measure it with love.
Well,
I've never seen the play. I don't know exactly what it's all about. But yeah, it feels like instead of measuring a year, you could measure a billion years.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's in the song that's talking about this. How do you measure a life, right?
No, how do you measure a year?
Oh, right. Okay, I'll take your word for it. That's the only part of the whole song I know.
Hold on. Okay, Wasp Beer says, I'm so drunk beyond belief. It's better you have this money than me. Spend it on more whiskey. Enjoy the weekend. Oh my God, that's funny. Thank you, Wasp Beer. I love it. Hey, Cubs, good to see you. Cubs is in the chat. Yeah, Pat Harney. Will she ever get the electric door closer, the automatic door closer? You think she will?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Have you guys noticed? I don't know how many of you guys. Have you guys noticed how many people have started to go to the test center on Hollywood Boulevard now that it's back open again, and Streets and Jessica are both out there working their magic? They've brought the whole thing back to life. The TikTok YouTube phenomenon has been reignited out at the Hollywood Test Center, and I can only hope that somehow we're able to recreate something like that in downtown Clearwater, because they have all the fun out there.
That's true, because the door in their case makes it even
Yes.
even funner.
Yes.
Like I would think that would be the end, but no, they've made it into like its own thing. Like, oh, they're closing the door. No, don't shut them in there. Which is awesome.
It's true. It's so funny. It's like they've made it worse.
Yes.
They've made it worse by using this automatic door closer. But they've always had that door closer there. They just didn't use it as much.
Right.
I asked Streets, I was like, did they install that because of you guys, or was it there previously? He's like, no, it's been there the whole time. I'm like, oh my God.
But they didn't have the frosting windows.
They didn't have the automatic window frosters.
Yeah, and Jessica's, I was like, oh, they made their magic windows.
Brody says, you two are the epitome of perseverance and happiness. Thanks for bearing up and living life. Thank you so much, Brody. That's nice. So we can only hope. We can aspire. I dream to be able to do something like what they're doing out there on Hollywood Boulevard. And so it's almost like if they do install the door closers, they'll be doing us a favor.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, I didn't think of it that way, because I was like, oh, for sure they're going to.
Yeah.
But now if they do, it actually is a good thing.
I know. Also, I always wondered what would happen if I walked up, because, I'm basically standing right outside the threshold.
Mm-hmm.
If they closed those doors, they would hit me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to consult some sort of legal authority to find out, would they be committing assault on me? Or would they be able to trap me in there and say that I was trespassing? I'd be like, let me out! I'll LeBron James flop like, oh no! Oh, you have to, I don't know. It seems like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's going to escalate one way or another.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're gonna have to, maybe they'll have to get sliding closing doors.
But you know, Streets and Jessica never had that problem. I guess that's because all they have to do is stand right outside of the path of the door and they close them. But what if they got, oh, you know what?
Well, how close can they be?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I guess technically if they cross that line, they're trespassing.
Right. That's why Scientology wants to buy the streets.
Right.
It's like, so you can't get close enough
Right.
for anyone to see your stuff.
Right.
Or so that they can not let you go there.
Yeah.
It's literally for the protesters.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
That's why they do the tunnels and stuff.
Oh, it says Tori and Dan Walks to LA were at the test center with Jessica and Streets. I'm telling you, yeah, the scene is back, man. The scene is back. It's so exciting. Okay, so that was Pat. What else about Pat? It's like, but it's funny. It's because Pat she pulls off the whole being a sympathetic figure pretty well. Mm-hmm. For someone who's a trained killer, she pulls off that I'm just a nice old lady act pretty well. Mm-hmm. I've seen her go on a local podcast show, and she just acts like she's just a little grandma or something. Mm-hmm. And it's like, this woman's a trained killer.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
She's good at it.
She is good at it. And that's why she's there.
Yeah.
That's why she's the one at the desk. Mm-hmm. She knows what she's doing. Yeah, she's a highly trained Scientology assassin.
Yeah.
Your trash is not safe around Pat Harney. Okay? She never met a trash can she didn't mind going through and looking for dirt.
Yeah.
You know, I know these days Scientology will hire a private investigator to hire a thug to go through the trash. But back in the day, it was the director of special affairs who was going through the trash.
Oh yeah, I believe it. I mean, they would put up posters inside the buildings about the protesters who were there. Like, I remember Mark Bunker and Jesse Prince, they had posters of them saying things about them. I didn't know what half of the things meant, but they would be like, this person is a criminal, and they would brief the whole staff about them.
Yeah.
About how bad they were, and then they would also like block out the, like, when we would travel between buildings, they would make it so we couldn't see out the windows of the vans or anything like that, so that we wouldn't see the protester signs. And so yeah, sorry. Where I was going.
That's all right. Oh, I see Jamie's in the chat. Hey Jamie, thank you for saying hi to Pat for me last night. That's very kind of you. Okay, let's see. We did Pat, the Dianetics Day, the Auditors Day. Oh, funny thing I wanted to mention about, so, yesterday was May 9th. That is the anniversary of the publication of the book Dianetics.
Right.
And that used to be a really big deal in Scientology, that date. Hold on. Birdie says, Aaron, you need to start a pasta channel since you ruined the pasta queen for me. I speak for all of us when I say start making spaghetti. I already make spaghetti so much, I just need to start recording it.
Yeah, he makes his own pasta.
I make homemade pasta from scratch.
He's really good at it. Yeah.
It's really yummy.
Yeah,
I could be the pasta king.
Yeah. That would be a fun segment.
Brilliant. And I'd do it just like her too. Maybe I'd put on a wig and everything. Like because she has long hair.
Okay.
Hair.
I thought you meant that she wears a wig. I haven't watched.
No. Just to look more like her.
That would be awesome.
Okay, so May 9th, Dianetics, the anniversary of Dianetics, used to be one of Scientology's major international annual events. Yeah. It was a huge deal. Do you remember the laser shows? The laser shows they would show at the beginning of the events?
Yeah.
Like, dude.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I remember. Because one time when I was at the ranch, which was a Scientology boarding school, I tried to run away on May 9th. And the event was it was via satellite, but it was being recorded, and they missed the beginning of the show because some of the adults had to go pick up me and my friend. And so we got booed at the beginning of the event at the ranch because we made them miss the laser show at the beginning.
Oh my God, I'm so itchy from the damn mosquitoes.
Oh,
it's crazy. Okay, so what were we talking about there? Oh yeah, this is just sort of an anecdote of the evidence of the deterioration of Scientology. Right. thankfully, we're not complaining. We're just trying to document it. 2 of the biggest annual events used to be the May 9th Dianetics event and the Auditor's Day event, which I think was always something like September.
Yeah.
It was either August or September.
Yeah, I don't remember which either, but it was August or September.
Yeah. It was literally 2 of the biggest, most important international annual Scientology events.
Right, and which is like a big celebration where people from international management come and speak, and all Scientologists go to celebrate, and there's usually like, they're trying to sell you a new book or the newest edition of Dianetics or something like that.
Yeah, new lecture release.
Yeah, it's how they make money, these events.
That's right.
Yeah.
And what happened is David Miscavige canceled these events.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, and the thing is, like, first of all, when L. Ron Hubbard was alive, these international events weren't even really a thing. They started afterwards. They started after 1986.
Yes, yeah.
But if L. Ron Hubbard were alive, and if you looked at all of the events on Scientology's annual calendar, the 2 events he would say are the most important would be the Dianetics event and the Auditor's Day event.
Yeah.
And then perhaps his birthday, March 13th, because of the birthday game.
Yes. Oh, right, yeah.
All these other events would be irrelevant.
Right.
New Year's? Scientologists don't care about New Year's.
Well, Dianetics is the beginning of Scientology. It's the
Right.
beginning of everything.
Yeah.
That, like, as far as Scientologists are concerned, that L. Ron Hubbard did to bring about Scientology.
Yeah.
So.
And auditors is literally the only reason Scientology exists.
That's right.
Which ties into Dianetics, because Dianetics auditors were the first auditors.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so because this is the 75th anniversary of Dianetics, Miscavige did sort of, pull a version of the event out of the mothballs. And they did film something in Clearwater at Ruth Eckerd Hall for this. But it's almost like I'm bringing it up as almost an exception to the rule.
Yeah.
Like, it was a big deal that they brought back the Dianetics event for the 75th anniversary of Dianetics.
Right, yeah.
And it sort of highlights the fact that for the last 15 or so years, Miscavige just decided not to hold one.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
Or the Auditor's Day event.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Like, honestly, why even bother holding a New Year's event? There's nothing special about New Year's in Scientology at all.
Right, yeah.
You're already celebrating all the Scientology wins at the IAS event.
But the events are to make money. They're to sell a new product.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
But what are you selling on New Year's Eve? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you have to come up with something. My point being is, if you wanted to sell something, you could sell something on the May 9th event. You could sell something on Auditor's Day.
Yeah.
If you're going to cancel an event,
Right.
you could cancel New Year's Eve.
Right.
Scientologists don't want to go to that event.
Right. Yeah,
You're already celebrating all of the annual Scientology accomplishments at the March 13th birthday event.
Right.
You're also celebrating all of Scientology's victories at the annual IAS event. New Year's Eve is just a horrible excuse to put on an event. And I guess as long as it makes money, there's a reason to put it on.
Right. I wonder if it makes more money or if it gives Scientologists a place to go on New Year's Eve.
They don't even do it on New Year's Eve.
Oh.
Well, or they don't do the live event on New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Okay.
You're right.
Yeah.
But, like, imagine you're a Scientologist. You want to go to an actual New Year's Eve party.
Right.
But you can't, because your stupid local org holds this pointless New Year's event. That's a chairman of the board event you have to go to.
Yeah.
What a bummer.
Yeah, that would be a bummer. I can only think of that now, though, because I was in the Sea Org, and so it's not like I was going to go out drinking or something
Right.
if I wasn't going to the New Year's event.
That's true. Sea Org members very much look forward to the New Year's event.
Yeah, and because I could, like, wear a really pretty dress,
Yeah.
which essentially is apparently all that I wanted in life, and
Yeah.
Scientology was stopping me because it was all, like, dude comic books.
It's funny, like, Sea Org members look at these international events almost like normal people think of, like, prom or homecoming. It's like their one excuse to dress up fancy with all their friends.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Sea Org members make basically zero money, but when the event time rolls around, they all manage to get really nice clothes.
Yeah.
How do they do it?
Well, you all trade, for one thing. You trade each other's outfits. So what someone else wore years back, then, or my grandma would buy me
Yes.
address sometimes.
Because I think the magical answer is most people are getting something from their non-Sea Org family members.
Yeah, or you could get a really cheap one because on like Hollywood Boulevard there was a lot of like stripper stores that if you just found just the right thing, that was like could work. That wasn't too
Stores for
overboard.
strippers?
Yeah,
Strippers are us?
yeah.
Just for strippers?
Well, there was like all this like dominatrix stuff and like boots that were like this high. Well, how do you not know? There
How
was,
do I
like,
not know?
100 stores like that all up and down Hollywood Boulevard.
Oh, I guess I just wasn't paying attention.
Oh, I'm sure. Anyways,
I'm not a stripper, so.
Anyways, so those were really cheap. I remember once I got a dress from there.
You just reminded me, we were joking earlier today about convincing Natalie to start some sort of an OnlyFans. And where we are at right in Hawaii is called Puako. And we were like, Natalie's OnlyFans name should be Puako Ho. Or Puaho.
There's OnlyFans.
It was
for her
really funny.
feet,
It
you
was really
guys.
funny at the time.
For her feet.
Well, yeah, we're just, yeah, exactly. It was really funny earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah, you thought it was funny, right?
I did. Yeah.
What do you guys like better, Puaho or Puako Ho? Put a 1 in the chat for Puaho. Put a 2 in the chat for Puako Ho. Let's see how many people are actually paying attention.
2.
Lots of 2s. Lots of 2s.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, they like that. That's the one you like better too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because
Yeah.
Puho. just
Nobody
sounds
would
like a
get
regular-
nobody would get the joke.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That is awesome. Let's see. I think I had another thing here as well. Oh, Joy Villa. Guys, I don't know how I missed this, but Joy Villa has left Scientology. How many of you guys actually already know who Joy Villa is? I've already put out a 1 and a 2. Put a 3 in the chat if you know who Joy Villa is. Put a 4 in the chat if you got no idea. So this is a really interesting one, you guys. I'm excited. I don't know how I missed this. Yes, Brody, the one and the same. She has posted some things to her Instagram account. That's right. Rochelle Natalie had to explain to me that she had already done a video about this.
Say who she is.
Well, Joy Villa is a Scientology singer, although I've never heard a song she's ever written or sang.
Either, yeah.
She became sort of internet famous for going to the Grammys wearing MAGA dresses. And I think she started this as long ago as 2016. And she did end up being someone who had some relationships with people in the administration. Actually, do you guys remember when Corey Lewandowski, who was it, you don't know any of this stuff, right?
No.
I think Corey Lewandowski was like Trump's campaign manager, something like that. And he got into some legal trouble, or at least he was being canceled for having like inappropriately smacked someone's ass or something.
I just remember hearing this yesterday.
That was Joy Villa. That was Joy Villa, apparently. Joy Villa also, I think, factored into some of Leah Remini's stories of leaving Scientology. Don't quote me on that. But she was in the same world that Leah was in. Like, the thing is, Joy's not like a real celebrity. Like, no one knows who Joy is for... She's a music artist, but I've never heard a song that she sang. I only know her because of her trolling the Grammys with the Trump dresses. And I also only know of her because when I found out she was Scientologist, I started paying attention to some of the stuff that she was doing. She has some posts up on her Instagram account, if you guys watch it, some videos that she's done. There is absolutely zero question that Joy Villa has left Scientology, which is absolutely fascinating. She also started following me on Twitter a couple months ago. So I just followed her back and I sent her a message asking if she wanted to do a chat with me on the channel. Because I also know from some private conversations I've had with other people that Joy was very specifically trying to disseminate Scientology to the inner circle of the Trump administration. And I also know that she failed miserably doing it, particularly with Kellyanne Conway. And what I would love to know, Kelly Artology, I see you there. I would love to be able to ask Joy about what was the role of the Office of Special Affairs and the Celebrity Center's president's office in helping her, coaching her, guiding her in how to try and infiltrate these circles?
Yeah, that would be so interesting.
You know, did OSA step in and give her? I'm dominating the screen. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Did OSA, you know, give her dossiers on people that she was interacting with to try to find their negative buttons, their positive buttons,
Yeah.
what they love, what they hate, all that kind of stuff. And I'm a little surprised she hasn't been out there talking about this stuff yet.
Yeah.
She's made it very, very clear she's out of Scientology, but she's not dishing any good dirt
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
Okay, Brody says, is The Master a good anti-Scientology film or no? I've suggested it, but I've never asked about it. Also, Joy's music is meh, but good for her for leaving. So The Master, in my opinion, is a pretty good story of the real story of Dianetics and L. Ron Hubbard and the early days of that. But it is somewhat fictionalized. So I don't even know that it wasn't specifically intended to be an anti-Scientology film. It's almost like it's much more closer to reality than any of the versions of the story Scientology itself tells. Have you ever seen the film?
I have, yeah.
What did you think about it?
I mean, it's not about Scientology. It's like supposed to be based on Scientology.
Right.
But I don't know that that's been confirmed or denied. I mean, in all honesty, I do think that it was one of the most boring movies I've ever watched.
Is that right?
I do think that, yeah.
I've only seen it once.
I feel bad saying it, but I was like really excited to go see it. Went to see it with my friend and her husband and me in Dallas.
Did you fall asleep?
I just couldn't wait for it to be over. I don't know why.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear ya. Well, so yeah, I mean, I only found out this week that Joy was out of Scientology, so I guess I haven't been paying very close attention, but I would love to know how Scientology fumbled that ball. It's a perfect example. Like you can. I hear arguments that make me cringe sometimes of how celebrities just get treated so much better and they have all their own set of rules and they don't know what real Scientology is like because they're shielded from it all. And I know that for some people, in certain circumstances, there is elements of truth to that. But I can think of tons of examples of how celebrities are treated the exact same way, with the same expectations, the same penalties, the same whatevers. Like, you know, the fact that Paul Haggis, one of the things that led to Paul and his wife leaving Scientology, was that they were making them disconnect from her elderly mother for something that had happened 30 years earlier. And you're like, and it was a huge deal.
I thought it was because his kid, like one of his kids was gay.
What does that have to do with his mother, though?
I thought that's why he left Scientology.
No, that's part of the story. But that was just one piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
Like, because then Tommy Davis was publicly, or the local Scientology org in San Diego or whatever was like publicly promoting anti-gay legislation, and Paul was like, "Hey, what the hell is this? I don't want my church having anything to do with this. My daughter's gay." That was just one of the many pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, I see.
But like, what's my point? When it comes to enforcing standard Scientology tech and standard Scientology ethics, in most cases, celebrities are not exempt from that.
I don't know. Like when I was in Clearwater, like I feel like when Juliette Lewis was on court, she had her own supervisor that was special with her. I mean,
oh, but that's different. I mean, but that course supervisor was still applying the same supervisor tech, study tech to her
I see.
as a normal supervisor would. She's getting special treatment in a way, but she's still getting the same Scientology.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I guess I'm just thinking of like what would happen if another Scientologist was like having like drugs brought into for like would they be kicked out?
That's a great example. If
Maybe.
any other public Scientologist was caught, you know, passed out with a needle in their arm in the back of a car in the Fort Harrison Hotel, would they be escorted off the base, or would they be, you know, babysat by a bunch of Scientologists?
Right, and maybe I don't know, because if you were a Sea Org member and you did that, you'd be toast,
Yeah.
like declared horrible. But I guess, yeah.
So, but that's what I'm saying. There are ways in which celebrities get treated better, but there's also ways in which they're treated exactly the same. And it seems like if they were going to give Joy Villa special treatment, like there's no one there being like, we should do whatever it takes to make sure Joy Villa stays happy enough not to leave Scientology.
Right. But like I've been with like my aunt Shelly Miscavige when she was like taking calls from Kelly Preston and stuff like that. Like I guess to me I'm looking at it through the lens of me, which is that no but maybe they were treated the same as other public, but it's like but they also saw little kids running around carrying their auditing folders and taking them to get food in the restaurants, and they know that little kids are working there.
For sure.
And they don't care.
Yeah.
And they're okay with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess it was like if a celebrity was there, like I remember I was on the purification rundown with Lisa Marie Presley, and like everybody else was kicked, like she had her own sauna, everybody else was kicked out. No, I'm not, yeah.
Well, totally. But then at the same time though, she's going to do the same purification rundown that other people are doing.
Right, yeah.
And for sure, when you have Tom Cruise, John Travolta, Lisa Marie Presley,
right, yeah.
These are the people for whom major exceptions are being made.
Yeah.
But when you have someone, for whatever reason, Paul Haggis was not important enough in Scientology or considered a big enough a celebrity for someone to go, maybe we shouldn't make Paul Haggis disconnect from his elderly mother or his elderly mother-in-law just to be allowed to get onto his next OT level. Like, maybe this isn't important enough.
Yeah.
Right? And I guess it's sort of where I'm going with Joy Villa is that I am dying to know what it was they were insisting Joy either do or not let her do. Because it's going to be one or the other, right?
Yeah, right.
What was the thing they were like, we will not budge on this? That she was like, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And again, it's like, I feel like I've already said she's not a real celebrity, so why am I shocked that they're not making exceptions for her? But it's like, even if she's not a celebrity in the real sense, she was extremely visible with political people who wield an awful lot of power.
Right.
You just feel like maybe she's not the one you want to have running around saying what horrible people you are.
Right, yeah, totally.
But they couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
They couldn't figure out how to keep her
Couldn't
happy.
stop themselves, yeah.
Right, and I got to hear that story, you guys.
Yeah.
I got to hear that story. So
if you
like,
want to hear that story, then don't say that she's not a real celebrity.
no, but I mean, nobody knows, like,
I know what you mean. I didn't know
is,
she was
like,
either.
anyone who becomes highly recognizable could be called a celebrity, but it's like, what are you famous for? She would say she's famous as a singer,
Right.
and I would say, no, you're not.
Yeah, yeah.
You're just not. I've never heard, I don't even know what songs you sing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not an insult.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, but you could say, what's Kim Kardashian famous for? Okay, but she doesn't claim to be famous for anything other than what she's famous for, which is nothing.
Right. Yeah. Well, now she is. I won't be her defender.
What is she
here, it's
famous for?
fine.
She's famous for having a reality show at this point.
Yeah, and she has like a clothing.
But that's not what makes her famous.
Yes, yeah. Well, yeah.
That's what makes
made
her richer.
famous. Yes, yeah. Right.
She's famous for, yeah. All right, you guys know.
But now she's like. an
She's famous
influencer.
for her famous comeback story.
Yeah.
Get it?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. We had Joy Villa, we had Volcanoes, Body Thetans.
Did you
auditors.
know that yesterday was May 9th and we were going to the volcano?
I think we did mention it yesterday.
I just never thought of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like at all.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my god, how weird is that? We were at that volcano on May 9th.
That's right. All right, let's see. What does it say? What does it say? Brody says, I gotta head out, but I cannot stress enough. Until you two, I did not care about the evils of Scientology. Aaron, please keep crying. And Jenna, please keep fighting. The last bit is interchangeable. Thank you, Brody. That's very nice
sweet.
of you. I'll do my best. I'll do my best. Matt says, I've never seen a single episode of The Kardashians. Thanks, Xenu. I never have either.
I have never either.
Have you really?
No, of course. You're such a liar. I watched it with you at Natalie's house.
We were probably high as a kite. I don't remember anything. Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yes.
It was the first time I was watching. You're right. I remember that now.
Yeah, it wasn't the first time I've watched it.
Yeah.
They're kind of funny.
Jeff Augustine says, Joy is great on camera. She could go viral by doing a live with Aaron. Yes. And, I've been asking myself, like, how would I conduct an interview? I with her.
Yeah.
Because I do feel that I am unnecessarily sensitive about being tied to or affiliated with something someone else that I'm interviewing is saying. When in reality, it really should have nothing to do with me.
Yeah, yeah.
And the fact, Joy, I think her public thing right now is she's now a hardcore Christian. And I don't know if I think Joy is one of those people who always pretended while being in Scientology that she was a Christian. I think before Scientology, she probably was legitimately a Christian. And
it'd be interesting to hear from her, like, what Scientology really said about that, and how it really was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I know she's going to say some political shit that people are going to tie me to that I'm not going to want to be tied to.
Yeah.
She's going to say some religious stuff that I'm not going to want to be tied to. But I have to be able to remove myself from it. Like, if you think of anyone big out there that's doing, you know, any big interviewer, you know, for some reason Piers Morgan comes to mind. If he's interviewing someone, he's not responsible for what the other person says. But Piers is also a very confrontational interviewer. Like, he'll derail the entire interview just to argue about the shit that you're saying.
Right.
I don't want to be that kind of interviewer.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
you don't have to be.
But that's the way Piers is able to separate himself from the bullshit his guest is saying, is he literally will fight with him about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to. They just say what you just said at the beginning, and I think don't start with that. You would have never heard of her or her songs.
Well, I'm not going to insult her while I'm talking to her.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I was actually struggling with it. Like, on the one hand, yesterday I was like, oh, I really want to interview her, but then I'm like, oh my god, wait, am I going to be able to pull that off? I think I will. I'll figure out how to pull it off if she agrees to do it, for sure.
Yeah, you'll be good at that.
Yeah, would you guys like to see me interview Joy Villa? Put a 1 in the chat if you'd like to see me interview Joy Villa. 2 in the chat if you're like, don't waste your time. She's not going to watch this video.
Well, she followed you on whatever. So
Twitter.
Yeah, but
Just Twitter.
Yeah, but she's obviously heard of you.
True.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good
That's
point.
also like a what's it called? Like, that's intentional, especially since Scientology sees who you follow and don't follow, and other. I mean, even like you heard these things with like Justin Bieber unfollowed his wife for 1 minute. And everyone's
My pearls.
reporting on it. So
My pearls.
her following you.
No, it's
like,
true. That's intentional.
She doesn't need to follow
That's a
you in order
choice.
to see what you post.
Yeah, it's not like I'm doing anything special on Twitter anyway.
Well, yeah, but it's like a sign. It's like a FU.
You're right.
That's all. That's mostly what it is, more than wanting to get your updates, because she can see your updates by just searching you up anytime.
True.
Yeah.
I'm actually getting eaten alive out here. It's crazy.
Thanks to you, I'm not at all.
All right, folks. Well, this has been a fun chat. I think that's pretty much everything we had written down to chit chat about. This has been a blast. So what? Today's the 10th. I'm trying to think of. Am I going to be home early enough to join everyone for this next protest? I'm not sure. Let me pull up the calendar here.
9:16.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it depends on what time
You'll
the flight
be on
gets
that
in.
day, because you fly on the 15th.
But it depends on what time the flight gets in. Are you sure?
Oh yeah, but you're right. I think she did say you arrive the next day. That's right, because you have a really long flight,
Well,
whereas mine is short.
yeah. So it's basically 12 hours of flying time plus 6 hours of time change. So that's 18 hours.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess I'm saying I'm hoping to be able to be back at the downtown Clearwater protest this week, but not sure if that's going to happen, unfortunately. We'll see.
Someone asked how the volcano visit was.
The volcano visit was absolutely awesome. I mean, it wasn't actively fountaining while we were there, but it is supposed to fountain again in the next couple days.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a 2-hour drive for us to just from where we are, like door to volcano. And I took tons of awesome photos and video. Like it's really cool.
It's really cool. And we went in like lava tubes, and the ground was sort of covered with these like little, like it would like looked like it had like a gold spider web on the ground that was like twinkling, and they were like glass pieces from.
It's volcanic glass.
Yeah,
and
filaments.
they call it Pele's hair.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's
Pele
basically
is the goddess of fire, not the soccer player.
Yes, not the soccer player.
Yeah.
And it just looks like fragments of spider web laying all over the ground.
Yeah.
But it's very
Golden.
delicate strands of glass.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere.
Yeah, that was really cool. And little, like bigger pieces of it that were like glittery and shiny.
Yeah, and you're not supposed to pick it up, but we did. Well, you're not supposed to pick it up just for safety reasons. It's not forbidden. It's not illegal. Because if you poke yourself with it, it's like a splinter from hell.
Right.
That's almost impossible to get rid
Well,
of.
she said if you just touch it, then it's a splinter from hell.
And that was a lie.
It was a lie.
We
I
touched
knew it was a
plenty
lie
of
when
it.
she was saying it, and
Yeah.
it has proven to be a lie because
That's
I
right.
touched a lot of it. Yeah.
I mean, we took photos and video of the Paley's hair.
Yeah.
I'd literally never even heard of it before. I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah. It was really cool.
And even though it wasn't fountaining lava, it was smoking and steaming all over the place. And the whole crater has steam vents coming out of it. And it's just,
Yeah.
you know, to never have seen something like that, it's absolutely amazing and fascinating.
Yeah, if you stand by like a steam vent, it's like just like a bunch of steam that will like fog up your glasses. It's really warm and you kind of like, it's like steam, so it gets a little wet.
It's like standing on a
too.
subway grate in downtown Philadelphia. It feels
Yes.
exactly the same.
But smells better.
Except, yeah, smells a
better.
little better.
Yes. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, the caves. Yeah, so the caves are basically the lava tubes. I'd never heard of a lava tube before. I didn't know what it was. But it's essentially an underground cave that was formed by lava flows where the top of the lava cools first, but underneath the cooled lava, the hot lava is still flowing. And then eventually when everything stops flowing, it ends up becoming a big, smooth walled cave. And we walked through those and it was amazing. It was great.
Yeah, it was
Okay, I'm getting destroyed. We gotta
Okay.
end off.
Okay.
All right, thanks for hanging out with us, guys. This has been a blast. I'm sure we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.